And last but not least, we have James Grossklag from College of the King.
Thank you, thank you, thank you. Check, check. Okay, here we go. Hi, thank you, Dulcie. Hi, everybody. Boy, I am so happy to be here. It is, yeah, it's just an honor to be here. I when Lisa told me about this event, I just did everything possible to make it here. There's so many old friends here, and look forward to making more friends today. Um, I'm not so good at following directions though. Lisa asked me to speak about X, Y, and Z, and I'm not going to talk about X, Y, and Z. But very broadly, Lisa asked me, or I will talk a little bit about the state of open education nationally and globally. I'll touch on that a little bit, but it's impossible to do that without talking about you and without recognizing and honoring your work. So if we could go to the next slide, I'll start by being good. And here's the official state of open education today. It's vibrant, it's strong, it's impactful, it's what we want it to be, absolutely positively. But some of you know I'm an historian by training and by identity. So in order to prepare for this, I went through my files on my computer. I put in a search for Maricopa on my computer, and I was just blown away by how many artifacts appeared that were connected to my collaboration, my interaction, and my admiration for Maricopa over the years. So I'm going to weave in a little bit of history. There might be some jarring images from the past here. At any rate, if we go to the next slide. So the state of open education is incredibly impactful. Earlier today, Lisa shared that Open Maricopa has resulted in saving students nearly $500 million. Amazing. And in 2018, at the National Open Education Conference in Niagara Falls, a colleague of ours stood on stage and announced that the collective open education movement had saved students $1 billion, which was pretty gobsmacking at the time. And now I know nearly half of that was Maricopa. So that's impressive. That's like stealing my punchline. So if we go to the next slide, though, of course, where do we get this idea of saving students money and documenting that we're saving students money, which all institutions now do that are involved in open education? We all have like this gauge, this thermometer. We count. It's in the press releases. The board loves it. We get this from you, from Maricopa. And the next slide, please. This date, dates it a little bit. We're in fall 2013. The ambitious stretch goal was XXX dollars, right? At the time, there were no savings. It was a vision, but it's a vision that really permeates open education throughout the United States and I think North America today. So next slide, please. The state of open education also is incredibly rich for the professional development. OE Arizona, of course, is there in the center. Today, you can't turn around almost in the United States without bumping into a regional or state OER conference. It's really gobsmacking there. And also, next slide, please. We've got an incredible array of professional development through an organization many of us have worked with, CCC OER. You can go to their website and look up archives of webinars back to 2013. And I was involved early on with CCC OER. So in my files, I found, next slide, please, the list of webinars from 2012, 13, and you see Maricopa is all over the place there. We would not have been able to build CCC OER without Maricopa, without Donna, who was vice president, I realized at the time. You got elected to an office. My gosh. The infrastructure of professional development that we all enjoy and benefit from across the United States today owes to Maricopa and the work that Maricopa did very early on. Next slide, please. Also, it's an incredibly rich research field globally. You see some of the major research undertakings up there on the screen. There's Open Education Research Fellows. If you're pursuing a doctorate or doing some deep dive into research related to open education, you can get a fellowship, be supported for a year, be supported with your research, your publication, get connected to other researchers in open education. That's within the United States. Globally, there's the GoGN network, which is amazing. They do similar things, bring researchers together all over the world. Shira and Sarah talked about the really cool work that MIT is initiating, studying the intersections of open and AI. So there's a great, really rich research agenda out there. But again, that doesn't come from thin air, right? It comes from somewhere, something that happened before. So we go to the next slide. We also see. Oh, I forgot this next slide. So also the AAC&U, American Association of Colleges and Universities, just created a database for open research, which is amazing. If you're doing any research or you need any statistics for a presentation you're going to give, do check this out. It's pretty amazing. You see the number of articles that and resources that they have in that database. And as I was saying, this body of knowledge doesn't come out of thin air, right? It comes from someplace. So in my files, I found an article that I'd written for the Community College Week back in 2013, featuring a paragraph about Maricopa, what Maricopa was doing, because that was, the great example of at the time. And I think the open math contest. So again, going back to Donna's work here, and then before that, one more slide. You go to the CCC OER website. Also, this was from 2014. Maricopa Millions is the case study, building that knowledge base about what's going on around the United States and what is open education as a field. Again, Maricopa. Next slide, please. And then I found in my files as well a short piece that I had written for the International Council of Distance Education on case studies around the world. And for some reason, I knew about something in Mexico, knew about something in Netherlands, knew about something in South Korea, and wrote that up. And also, what did I have to contribute about the United States? Well, Maricopa, of course, because it's obvious Maricopa is doing this work, leading this work. So you sense a theme here, and it'll be like this for the rest of my remarks. So there are no surprises. It's just going to be more of this. Next slide. It's commonplace today around the United States to have OER or ZTC course marking in your scheduled classes. You see up there the states in which it's required by state law, including my state. It's required to have course marking. And on the right-hand side of the screen, you see a result of a survey of institutions from these states describing why they're doing this. And of course, it's just common sense that, of course, we're revealing to our students information that will help them make informed decisions. It's so obvious. And yet, where does that come from, right? It comes from you. Next slide, please. Comes from you. I don't know the status of this today, but this was incredibly motivating, inspiring, eye-opening for people across the United States back in 2012, 13, 14. I don't know the specific date. And then I found also in my archive a presentation from Northwestern Michigan College. I don't know why that was sitting in my file folder, but it was. And in Northwestern Michigan College, a presentation that they made to their faculty said, maybe someday our students will have what Maricopa students have. Right? So it's not just impacting me sitting in my institution. It's all over the country. Also, the state of open education is very well studied and becoming much more well established in terms of policy. Friends at the organization Spark, they have a OER policy tracker on their website, so you can track, is there a bill going through the California legislature or the New York legislature that's related to open education somehow. Well, the earliest references that I found in my files about talking about policy or promoting policy, and I think it was district policy, not necessarily state policy, but still the idea that you would actually formalize what you're doing with open education, naturally it comes from Maricopa. So next slide, please. I found a presentation from 2013. Goodness, with Donna, some of you will recognize Barbara Olowski's name and Una Daly's name. We had the amazing good fortune to go to Bali for at least that was my first OER conference, was in Bali. Wow. But we were talking about implementing policy changes at our institutions. And that's where the light bulb went off for me, of course, hearing what Maricopa was doing. And today, many of you know, and I think Matthew alluded to this with the panel up here, to open pedagogy, involving students in the co-creation of materials. That's very much a trend. It's good teaching practice, of course, to include your students, but it's very much the trend in the open education space to talk about open pedagogy. You can see some examples up here. Got the open pedagogy student toolkit. I've got a course on open pedagogy, and so on and so forth. But also in my archives, what did I find? I found reference to good teaching and teaching innovation with Maricopa's logo on it. Naturally, this is 2013. My goodness, and I remember actually this session. I was at the American Association of Community College conference in San Francisco, and I remember James Souza couldn't. He was on the panel. He couldn't be there. He zoomed in at the time, and it was just so sort of futuristic at the time to have somebody zooming in to the session. And then we also have Donna again from 2000. I think this was 2013. Donna picked up an award when she was in Bali as well, recognizing her for teaching innovation. So again, Maricopa out there as a path breaker, being an example for the world. Next slide, please. Then 2014, I was on a panel with Paul Golish, and then some of you will recognize Quill West's name. Again, talking about faculty innovation and expanding access with OER, on and on and on. I have a million more of these slide decks in my files with various characters from Maricopa leading the way. 2000, I think this was 2015. This was, I can't remember where this was. Sorry. Yeah, so this was maybe one of the ITC conferences where Donna and Una Daly and I would speak to a room where we outnumbered the participants. We did that for, I don't know, a couple of years. We had the good fortune of crisscrossing the United States and speaking to 2 or 3 people, but it was creating the foundation, right? It was creating the framework. And of course, Maricopa was central to that effort. Next slide, please. One of the projects that I have the good fortune to work on is called Open for Anti-Racism. We work to support California community colleges, college faculty who want to make their teaching anti-racist, and we train them to use OER and open pedagogy to transform their teaching in that way. And in looking through my files, I came across the image that is on the next slide, but not quite yet. Or that's okay. Keep it there. That's okay. But I realized that this, for me, I am who I am, and I'm not. I grew up where I grew up and was not very sensitive to the world, and I realized that the early Maricopa marketing and outreach images like this, featuring your students, honoring and recognizing who they were, that planted a seed for me to be able to do the work that I do with the Open for Anti-Racism project. So again, your legacy lives on very strongly in a lot of projects out there today. Next slide, please. Open Education Global is the premier global organization that really binds the world together globally, as I said, and all the really cool trips that we've been able to take are associated with this organization. It does great advocacy around the world with governments, interacting with UNESCO, interacting at a very high policy level. And the past vice president of the OE Global Board is Lisa, of course. Maricopa represented on that stage. No surprise. Of course, that's a Maricopa person. Next slide, please. The premier organization in the U.S., CCC OER. Of course, a Maricopa person is the past president. Lisa is the past president of that board. But it's not just Lisa. We go to the next slide. The other great organization in the United States organizing large institutions around OER is the Doers, and the chair-elect this year is Debbie here. Again, Maricopa is just all over the place in the infrastructure of open, which is, again, a very healthy field. We've got organizations, we've got representation around the world. If a funder or a government or another advocacy organization wants to have the voice of open, they know who to reach out to. There are proper organizations that they can talk to, like the work that Megan and Matthew and others are doing with OER Arizona. You need to have that structure, but that structure, again, nationally, has been permeated by Maricopa over the years. Next slide. And then Elise alluded to the work that I get to do in California. It's really gobsmacking. In California, we have an investment of $115 million from our governor and our state legislature into a grant program to help our California community colleges to create ZTC pathways, or OER degrees, right? Degrees and credentials built around OER. It's just amazing, and I have the amazing good fortune to run that program in California. But again, looking in my archives, where does that idea come from? OER degrees. Of course, at Maricopa, you have associate degrees and bachelor's degrees that are completely OER based. Next slide, please. And I found again in the archives, 2016, highlighting highlights from 4 states, adoption scale with Maricopa included in the conversation. Naturally, next slide. And here, just for kicks, blast from the past. Some of you will recognize some of these characters. Next slide, please. And we have a panel on expanding access with OER-based degrees. This was in Krakow, Poland, and again, we have folks from Maricopa represented there, talking about the work that Maricopa is doing that culminates years later, culminates in the work that I get to do in California. The ideas come from somewhere. The ideas oftentimes come from Maricopa. Next slide, please. So in California, it's a big state, as you know. We've got 115 community colleges. We've got 55,000 faculty I get to work with across the state. We serve 2.1 million students. We've got that $115 million investment, as I said, and already we've funded 500 distinct programs to be developed as ZTC pathways across the state. So there's going to be just boatloads of OER coming out of California. It's amazing. And those students, those 2.1 million students who are going to be served by those 500 and more pathways, they have you to thank for that. The work that you've done here over the years, traveling to conferences, participating in webinars, implementing local policy, developing an infrastructure, and sharing your knowledge base with the world is really benefiting the students in my state, right? That comes from somewhere. So next slide, please. In summary, the state of open education is great. Outside, it's stable, it's vibrant, it's impactful, it's networked, it's global, and so on and so forth, but really because of you. So last slide, I want to thank you for helping to create the future. The future is not something that we enter, the future is something we create, and that's what you have done here at Maricopa. So thank you for everything that you've done. Appreciate it. Thanks for letting me be here.